Rational perspective on Chelsea 5, West Ham nil. What a result. What an incredible, joyous day at Stamford Bridge. Probably one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had at Stamford Bridge at a game I've personally attended for some time. And given where we were post-Arsenal, it has been some turnaround, I think, from Mauricio Pochettino and his players. And brilliant to say that, brilliant to feel that positivity. We need to see it more often, but the past week has been a real shift. And I think not just in results in themselves, like Chelsea actually winning games. I also think the conviction of these performances and the performances of individuals within those, I think really has made a difference, and it looks more like a team that is convincing you, and at the very least looks like something that can be built upon. I know people have asked questions, is this to do with Pochettino? We spoke about this on the news show yesterday. Is Pochettino aware he is not going to be at Stamford Bridge next season? So he's kind of just throwing stuff against the wall. It's kind of a makeshift last-ditch thing before he moves on. Or is this the tangible sign of something that can be built upon? And I really do hope, as expected, Chelsea put it, it is the latter. Because I think Pochettino in the past week has shown that changing head coach might not be the best move for Chelsea this summer, given the way the players seem to be enjoying themselves, the alternatives not being that appetizing for the majority of the time, and also knowing that Chelsea as a club has been in frequent flux and chaos over the past 18 months, and actually a little bit of stability across the club, especially in the dugout, could go a long way. So it's lovely to sit here and be happy about Chelsea. This is why I have a YouTube channel. This is why I want to talk about Chelsea. I want to talk about how brilliant our players are. I want to talk about some amazing football and very, very much break it down and feel excited about what could happen next. And unfortunately, we haven't had many of these moments. And I think that's not, I don't think it's unfair for us to, and I think it'd be actually unfair for us to go back to, say, the Arsenal game or the frustrations I've had consistently through this season and go, oh, that was actually unfair. You were being too reactionary there. Like, none of us could have seen this coming 2 weeks ago. Let's be honest. Like, I don't think any of us could have seen Mark Cucurella in midfield and suddenly clicking and looking like a really, really confident and trustworthy player. Suddenly, Noni Madueke finding a really, really good rich vein of form. And not just that, but adding new elements to his game that he maybe hasn't had before. Moises Caicedo, of course, we knew the talent was there, but can he really go on to another level and show his dominance? And the defence looking a lot more solid and connected and being able to withstand several attacks. These are all things that I think have really come together to make me believe that at the very least Chelsea can end the season positively, and that's a wonderful thing given where we were 12 months ago. Where do we start? I think the starting 11 was obviously with the addition of Thiago Silva. Lovely, he's getting at least one or two more appearances at the Bridge, and the crowd were very much consistently today given their praise and appreciation to Thiago. Hopefully he'll have one more game if he's fit enough to play against Bournemouth for his send-off at Stamford Bridge. But other than that, you are going to stick with the team you have because of injuries, but also those connections and that momentum you want to kind of build upon. So it was the 3-5-2 in possession, out of possession, Marc Cucurella moving to that left-back role, and Chelsea against the West Ham side who sure have been woefully out of form this season, or at least since Christmas, but do possess things that can hurt Chelsea. A physical number 9, a direct style of play, an ability at set pieces, which we did see today. To be fair to the game and actually reflecting it, West Ham did hit the bar at 1-0. They hit the bar, I believe, at 2 or 3-0. Obviously, these things could have made a huge difference in the game, but I think given the way Chelsea have really faltered, the fact that they were so able to capitalise and exploit the fragility within West Ham's defence is, I think, something that was really encouraging. And Chelsea just went for the throat over and over again. The combinations, the first goal from Cole Palmer, brilliant ball for Noni Madueke, who's really making that role his own on the right wing, kind of playing a wing back / right winger, cutting in onto his left foot, great ball into the box. And Cole Palmer, you knew when that dropped at his feet, it was only going in one place. Ruthless finishing from Cole. The second goal, once again, Cole Palmer, brilliant first time ball, this time into the feet of Noni Madueke. The way it drops to the feet of Conor Gallagher, and that volley was sublime. And Conor was criticised earlier in the year for his lack of goals. He very much has made up for that in the closing weeks of the season, and that's great to see. And it's such a moment of technique and a real showpiece moment for Conor after the banner in midweek and all the conversations we're having about Conor and his future and why Chelsea selling him would be insane. More proof of that today. And the third goal, Noni himself, after being a creator or kind of being involved in the build-up to the first two, scores a header from a corner. And nice to see Chelsea score from a set-piece again, and Thiago assisting there as well. I thought post-halftime, there's always that fear, Chelsea going to start to slump post-halftime. A ball from Trevor Chalobah that, if anyone, like if Trent Alexander-Arnold is playing that, if Kevin De Bruyne is playing that ball, everyone's talking about how genius it is. It was a sensational ball, straight past the West Ham midfield, round the back of their defence, into Noni once again, who is in that position, and we've seen it so often this season when an attacker, and unfortunately, you don't want to just pick him out and single him out, but it has been a Raheem Sterling special this season, or trademark, where he puts himself in that position and he doesn't square it to the guy who has an open goal. And that has been a problem with Chelsea, and talking about selfishness and individuality going over the collective. But that was a moment where Noni could have gone for a second goal of the game, but lays it off for Nicolas Jackson. That completely ends the game. And it was arguably the most important and symbolic goal of today, because it showed that team spirit and something we have struggled with this season. It seems very obvious, it seems very basic, but maybe, just maybe, it's the sign of a team coming together, and that's great to see. And then the last goal, Nicolas Jackson, great work by Moises Caicedo in transition, really good pass into the feet of Jackson, who kept himself onside and then very confidently finished. And for him, 16 goals now in all competitions, 13 in the Premier League. We need to put some respect on Nicolas Jackson's name. And given the way the analysis of him has been this season, I think at times very, very harsh. I think it's really, really encouraging to see the way he's developed, and he will end the season bettering Didier Drogba's first Premier League season. That's nothing to sniff at, given Drogba was playing in the best Chelsea team, arguably of all time, in his first year, but also the struggles and confidence, and even in recent weeks where he's missed chances and people have wrote him off. That goal tally for a very young and raw striker is a good, decent return. It absolutely is. And he's got a few more chances to even improve on it. So the work rate of him all round and adding those goals to it, and hopefully more goals in the future, will be key. But we have to look through the team. I think all round, Trevor Chalobah, sublime. He makes such a difference in this team, not just from his passing, but his, I think, leadership skills that have come to the fore in recent weeks. You see that especially in the team huddle before games. People have picked up on this. So he clearly is a vocal figure within the group, but just his ability to cover ground and space. These are intangible things that you look through. We could discuss tactics, right? And tactics are interesting. I'm probably going to do a breakdown video on how we have shifted and why it's made a difference. I think that's interesting. But intangible things make a really, really big difference, because when you have players who suddenly are covering ground, really putting in a shift for the team, understanding moments when to go, when to not, when to add that physicality. At times it does come down to basics, even at this high level, and you see how different it makes Chelsea as a team. Suddenly Chelsea look a lot more cohesive, a lot more aggressive, and they're able to break down opponents at ease. And sometimes, and as we've seen in recent weeks, very basic things have been going wrong. Players not tracking their runners, players not being physically commanding, players being hesitant. No one taking responsibility. It feels like players are now taking more responsibility, and Chelsea look like a far more ferocious team and difficult team to break down. And I think, who epitomises that currently is Marc Cucurella. Outstanding couple of performances for him in this new role, where technically, on the ball, I think he's a comfortable passer, and aggressively, he is putting himself about. He is able to get across the pitch. He's not afraid to put in a tackle. He's not afraid to get himself hurt in service of the team. And I think for someone who has got a lot of criticism, and I think valid criticism at times for his performances, and given, what we paid for him and all of that, I always love to see a player prove me wrong if it means Chelsea are winning. And Marc Cucurella, I think, has very much epitomised this change, because of not only his positioning, but I think his all-round performance shows that maybe at times we are too quick to write players off. I'm guilty as anyone else is of that. So for him, I think it's been a big couple of days. Let's hope he can follow it up for the rest of the season, because then his Chelsea future may actually look a lot different. I'm not calling him the greatest defender in the world. I still think there will be times when Cucurella has limitations there. But from a coaching point of view, this is where you got to give some credit to Mauricio Pochettino. he's found a role that best suits that player. I think the broader question all round when you look at the team of Madueke and Mudryk, especially Madueke and Palmer and Jackson and Caicedo and Gallagher working a lot better, Caicedo being unleashed and a back three really for the majority of the game. And you're kind of going, well, we did this in pre-season. It seemed to get some good performances and excited us. Why has Poch altered from and gone away from it for so long this season? And I think that's a massive question, because it's not like we are currently playing with a full deck. It's not like he has Christopher Nkunku. I know Nkunku came off the bench, but why has it taken him till late April, early May to start doing this? Because the team looks suddenly like it's clicked a bit, suddenly like it's found a groove and a mojo and a confidence that they haven't had for a majority of the season. Is it a combination of Pochettino's tactics and ideas getting through to the players? Is it also maybe a balance of young players finding their feet, getting mistakes out and becoming a better team together because they've spent longer time together? Is it a bit of that? I think that's going to be the interesting thing to me. And obviously this very much will be defined by whether Pochettino is here or not post the end of the season. But I think if Chelsea can keep up this level of performance, I think there is absolutely justification to keep Pochettino, because another summer of upheaval could only do Chelsea more harm. And especially if you get an appointment wrong, you maybe set yourself back. I'm not here to admonish Mauricio Pochettino. I'm not here to tell you that he's been perfect and flawless. But I do think when you're producing performances like that in consecutive games, and you can talk about the level of the opposition, but we have seen frequent things against free opposition here. Aston Villa in the second half, against Tottenham on Thursday, and today against West Ham. These are all things that hopefully can and very much bleed into pre-season next season and build a better team, hopefully with more fit players who've been unavailable for the majority of the season. So Chelsea wiped the floor of West Ham. They made it not a contest very early on, and I hope for the players' sake, they have a week now, basically, just, under a week to get ready for that Forest game. Then it's Brighton, and then it's Bournemouth. They know. I'm very confident if Chelsea win all three of those games, Chelsea get European football. I think mathematically that's probably possible as well, because Newcastle and Man United have to play each other. We're now level in points with Man United. They go away to Palace on Monday night. They have to play Arsenal, of course, before the end of the season. Tottenham have to play Man City. I know some people have been bringing up that Tottenham, struggling right now. Chelsea mathematically could even reach Tottenham at fifth, which is, again, insane. I mean, if we ended the season fifth or sixth, given what we've been saying, it would be one of the craziest ends to a season because of how the narrative has been for the majority of it. But great that we're sat here and even having conversations like that, because a couple of weeks ago we weren't. And I don't think we were irrational for having those conversations. But I'm very glad that the team is proving our cynicism wrong and giving us something to believe in going into the summer. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below, and I'll see you again very soon. All the best.